Good morning everyone. My name is Nur Arisya Mashitah binti Dahlan, number metric A214581. Now, before I start, take a look at these first. Looking at these headlines, I'm sure many of you are familiar with these cases, aren't you? Sadly, these are not isolated incidents. They have happened time and time again in our beloved country, Malaysia. Every time we open the news or scroll through social media, we come across another heartbreaking story of an innocent life lost because someone chose to drink and drive. Yet, despite these devastating consequences, we still hear the same excuse. I was drunk. I didn't have the intention of killing. So, I would like to ask all of you one question. Should being drunk really excuse someone from the consequences of a crime? I believe the answer is no. Today, I would like to persuade you to believe that being drunk should not be an excuse for a criminal behavior. First, I will discuss how alcohol-related crimes threaten innocent lives. Second, I will explain why intoxicated offenders should still be responsible for their action. And finally, I will show how accountability helps create a safer society. Let's begin by looking at the impact of alcohol-related crimes on innocent people. That is the first reason why being drunk should not be an excuse for criminal behavior. When people drink excessively and make dangerous decisions, they are not the only ones affected. Families, communities, victims all suffer. And according to the World Health Organization in 2023, alcohol affects not only drinkers but also families and communities around them. Now, a recent case that shocked the public happened in Klang, where a motorcyclist was killed after a driver who tested positive for alcohol and drugs drove into the opposite lane and crashed head into him. The victim was thrown onto the roof of another car and died at the scene. He was simply traveling on the road when his life was taken because another person chose to drive under the influence. Another example can be seen in South Korea, in a real case that inspired the movie Hope 2013. It is about an 8-year-old girl who was raped by a man who was reportedly drunk during the incident. The victim suffered serious physical and emotional trauma that changed her life forever. Again, she is only 8 and the drunk rapper only sentenced to 10 years jail, whereas the girl will be 18 years old by then with fears and trauma, which is just 3 years ago. Cases like this remind us that alcohol-related crimes do not only affect the offender. They destroy families, make parents lose their child, and create lifelong trauma for those left behind. Therefore, when innocent people become victims of alcohol-related crimes, society cannot simply accept intoxication as an excuse. Since alcohol-related crimes can have devastating consequences, offenders should not avoid responsibility simply because they were drunk. This brings me to my second point. Offenders should not be allowed to avoid responsibility simply because they were intoxicated. Let me ask you one question. Do people know that alcohol affects their judgment before they drink? Of course. They know the risks, yet they still choose to drink. So according to University of Florida Law Review 2024, courts generally do not accept being drunk as an excuse for committing a crime. Malaysia follows the same principle. After several fatal drink driving cases, the government introduced stricter penalties, including higher fines and longer prison sentences. Unfortunately, these people don't take this seriously and continue to be selfish. Just last week, June 2026, on Sinar Harian News reported that during an integrated police operation in Seremban, 4 drivers were arrested for driving under the influence of alcohol. These arrests came despite years of awareness campaigns, stricter drink driving laws, and countless fatal accidents reported across the country. This shows that the problem is not lack of awareness. People are aware of the risk of drinking and driving, but some still choose to do it. That is why being drunk should not be an excuse. It is a decision made before the crime happens. When responsibility is enforced, society as a whole benefits. The third reason why being drunk should not excuse criminal behavior is that accountability benefits society. When people know they will face legal consequences for alcohol-related crimes, they are more likely to think carefully before engaging in risky behavior. Accountability serves as a deterrent. It reminds people that they cannot escape punishment simply by claiming they were drunk. According to University Malaysia Sabah in 2026, offenders should bear greater responsibility for the harm they cause, including compensation for the victims. Malaysia's stricter drink driving laws protects innocent road users and reduce deaths. When enforced, they punish offenders and make people think before driving drunk. This shows that accountability helps protect future victims and prevent similar crimes from happening again. Now that we have discussed dangers of alcohol-related crimes, personal responsibility, the importance of accountability, and let me conclude my speech. In conclusion, being drunk should never be an excuse for a criminal behavior. Today, I have discussed how alcohol-related crime endanger innocent lives and threaten public safety. I have also explained why intoxicated individuals should still be held responsible because drinking is a personal choice. And finally, I highlighted how accountability promotes justice and creates a safer society. Therefore, I urge all of us to be more responsible and aware of the consequences of alcohol consumption. Before I end, I would like to ask one final question. If someone harmed your loved one while drunk, would you accept that as an excuse? I certainly would not. Remember, alcohol may weaken judgment, but it does not erase responsibility. Justice for victims and safety for society must always come first. Thank you.